Hey, everybody, thanks for joining me. We're doing this interview for Chili Magazine. I really appreciate you checking out Chili Magazine at chilimagazine.net, and you can check out all kinds of great articles down there. And it's all about the chili lifestyle, everything we love, everything that's happening out there. And it's turning out to be a wonderful magazine that everybody is surely enjoying. So go to chilimagazine.net. My first guest is Tim Fraczak, and I couldn't wait to get him on here. He is from Pepplish Provisions. Pepplish
Correct.
Provisions. And let's see, I'm sure I have something here for you to see. He's got a number of sauces that we're going to talk about. They're absolutely fantastic sauces. He goes about things a little bit different than what you'd see other people because he really combines some flavors that are really unique with each other, and they are simply amazing. You can check them all out on tastingtheheat.com. I have them on there. And without any further ado, let's bring Tim on here. Tim, are you there?
Yeah, I'm good.
Hey.
Nice to be chatting with you.
Yes, I love your shirt. That's part of your brand right there.
Yeah, that's one of the shirts that I have available that I normally sell. It was actually created. The design was created by a local artist here in New York City who he hand prints all of his shirts.
Nice.
Which is really nice. And his company's called Handprint NYC.
Awesome. I have to say, I love your logo. It looks like a wax stamp, like you used to get on the back of like an envelope.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going for when I was talking about with the artist about creating my logo initially. So I have a primary logo and secondary logo, and that was one of the things I definitely wanted on there was that wax stamp design or element of design on the logo.
Now, before we get started, let's tell everybody exactly your website where they can go check out your stuff.
Sure, that's pepplish.com. That's PEPPLISH.com.
Awesome. You've got a great website, and all your products are on there. People can check them out. You have a little bit of a description for everything of all your different sauces. And nice looking website. I like what you're doing out there. I had the pleasure of meeting you in person, I believe last year at the 2019 New York Hot Sauce Expo. We were at the before party.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was able to talk to you a bit further, and I actually dropped off some samples for you
Yeah.
of some of my newer sauces. Yeah, and we chatted for a little bit, talking about your show and possibly doing something together. So that was pretty cool.
As hard as it was to hear in there must have been what 200 people in a maybe 100 seat bar,
Yeah.
And it was hot.
It was hot, middle of Brooklyn, lots of pizza, lots of people talking about hot sauce. So it was a really good time.
It was a good time, and it was a pleasure meeting you there. Let's get into where did you start? What brought you to making hot sauces?
Ooh, so what got me started making hot sauce was when I moved to New York City back in 2008, the end of 2008. I found that most hot sauces on the market were either like great flavor, but they weren't that spicy, or they were really spicy, but they didn't have like any flavor, or the flavor wasn't that good. And I was like, why can't it be both? So
Right.
I decided to create my first recipe in 2009, which was a variant of the peach agave garlic sauce.
Okay.
And that's how I started making hot sauce for myself. And friends and family came over and they started trying it, and they're like, "Oh, this stuff is great. Can I get some?" And I'm like, "Well, I only have this like one mason jar that's really just for me, but next year I'll make more." And that's how it kind of like developed over the years for like, I would say about maybe 5 or 6 years or so. As I started developing that recipe, started making other ones, having fun with it, and eventually it got to the point where I decided to create a business out of it, and that was about 3 years ago, almost exactly 3 years ago.
Okay. Now you were saying that you moved to New York. Where did you move from?
I originally lived in Eastern Long Island, like way out there. If people are familiar with the metro area out here, I used to live near the end of the Long Island Expressway, which is by a town called Riverhead. I
Yes.
can list I can list most of the towns that are around where I used to live, which most people would know them, because I used to live in a small town called Ridge, and not many people know where that is, but a lot of people know a lot of the towns around it, like Rocky Point, Shoreham, Wading River, Shirley, Mastic, Middle Island, Medford. So like everyone knows those towns, but that's like in the middle, that's where I used to live.
Now, I used to live in Franklin Square,
Oh, very nice.
and I recorded in Glen Cove. So that I think believe Glen Cove is out that way, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's I would say it's probably about a third of the way to where I used to live from where I live now in Queens.
Okay. How do you like living in Queens to living out on the island?
So there are pros and cons. So when I first moved to the city, I had a lot of trouble getting used to all the traffic and this traffic light, the street lights, and how everything is just lit up in the city. And I had trouble sleeping because of that, because it was just street lights blaring in through the windows and stuff like that, and people walking like 10 feet outside my window, and I just wasn't comfortable with that for probably about a year. Um, and where I'm from, it's like complete pitch black. My full backyard is like all state forest. And that's how I grew up. Pretty much like what I consider sub-rural, which is like somewhere between suburban and rural.
Right, right.
Because I had, if I really wanted to growing up, I had deer hunting pretty much right in my backyard, and everything was really dark, really quiet. But now that I moved to the city, I love the city. I love the diversity that the city has, and a lot of the cuisines and cultures that are brought together, especially in Queens.
Well, I know that city is like you said, it's 24 hours a day. It's crazy, and it's. I found that it's kind of like sensory overload at first because
It kind of is, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Especially in Manhattan, like Times Square. Like Times Square is never dark.
right,
It's always daytime in the middle of Times Square.
and it is. There's people always around there. It's a pretty crazy town. What made you get into making hot sauces?
Um, I just loved spicy products in general, like spicy things when I was a kid. My dad used to give me like Tabasco, Franks, and stuff like that. Hot wings all the time. Grew jalapenos in the garden. I would eat them straight from the garden. My friends and I would play jokes on each other where we would smash up the peppers, and then like when we had sleepovers or something, we'd just like rub it on each other's faces. We
Oh,
did terrible things, but I just loved everything spicy growing up, and that's how I decided to get into. In addition to what I mentioned earlier about how most sauces on the market were great flavor, not spicy, or very spicy, but there's no flavor there. So that's how I decided getting into that. And also started growing my own peppers for that hobby. So I was experimenting with all different types of peppers, especially habaneros, which are probably my favorite peppers to use
okay.
for making hot sauces, just for the flavor and especially the heat level on them. It's like right in my personal wheelhouse of what I like. So habaneros, I was using cherry bombs, scorpion peppers. I was using ghost peppers. Um, I was growing banana peppers as well, spicy banana peppers. I can't even remember all the ones that I grew, and all different types of varieties of those peppers as well. So like chocolate habaneros, peach ghosts. So that was a lot of fun.
Now that you're living in Queens, are you still growing your own peppers, or are you getting it from someone else now?
Ever since I started my business, I stopped gardening for the most part. Like I'll grow like herbs and stuff, really easy stuff to grow, stuff that typically grows like weeds, like basil, cilantro, parsley, stuff like that. I'll grow.
Mhm.
But I do buy my peppers mainly from a local distributor, and also really interesting is a local high school in Queens, which
Nice.
is John Bown High School. It's in South Flushing, and I don't if people are familiar with New York City high school programs. What a lot of high school programs do in New York City is that they do specializations. So some might be like a business high school, or some might be more inclined to be like a science high school. This one focuses on agriculture, which they actually have a farm at the high school in the middle of Queens,
Oh, wow.
which I find to be like extraordinary because land is not cheap here in the city, and they have enough land to actually have a farm. It's not like a little community garden. They have animals on the farm, like chickens. They had llamas at some point. It was like it's a really big thing. And they also what they do is they'll allot some plots of the field to the students in the program, and they'll have the students grow things in their little plots, and then they get graded on stuff like yield and how the plants were growing, how well the plants grew, stuff like that. It's really interesting, the whole program itself, and it was something I actually stumbled upon that I wasn't even really looking for it because I had no idea that it existed, and it was a friend of mine introduced me to the guy who was the teacher that ran the land labs, or what they call like working on the farm at the high school. And it was a conversation I had in January 2016 where the guy said, he's like, "Oh yeah, we could totally grow peppers for you." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Like that's good to know." And I thought it was just a passing conversation that um it was like, "Okay, I'm just going to put that on the back burner. That's an option for me in the future." And then I get a call in October 2016 saying your peppers are ready. And I'm like, "Who is this? What do you mean?" And they grew like 2 full rows of habaneros for me. So I went and picked them up, and I was like, oh well, it can't be like that much. It's a farm in Queens, like at a high school. What could they
Right.
grow? And I was expecting like 20 pounds at most. And I get there and they're like, well, here's like 120 pounds. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, and there's more. I'm like, I'm not in business yet. I don't know what? So I was like dumbfounded in the beginning when I first when I first started buying from them. And what happened was, because I had just started and I had no idea what to expect for like business growth and how much I would need for production the following year, they actually downscaled my production for the following year when I started ramping up, and I was like, I need more, give me more. And then finally, this year we kind of like balanced out where like their production actually matched um, my production needs. So that was pretty cool.
That is amazing. I love that story. Now, do you buy them from them, or is it just part of their curricula to help you with your endeavors?
It's a little bit of both. Like I definitely buy them at fair wholesale prices
Right.
from them. And what I do, and also part of it is like the students do harvest and grow and help germinate and plant the plants and everything. And they tend to it during the school year. And what happens is then I'll buy the peppers from them per pound at wholesale, and then what I do is make the sauce, and then I sell the sauces back to them at wholesale, and they sell it in their little agricultural shop in the store. So when they have like um, parent teacher conferences, or if they go to events themselves, like in Queens, they have the Queens County Fair at the Queens County Farm Museum, which is the only other like land farm that I know about in the city, uh, where they have like animals and everything. So they go there for that fair and they sell stuff there. And so they actually do pretty well with it. And a lot of the students and teachers like my sauces there as well. So it's a really cool relationship that I have with them.
Yeah, it is. Tim, since I've been doing this, you know, I love stories like this because you find out more about the background of what got going, how it helped you get going. And that is just phenomenal. That is such a cool story. And it's got to make the kids feel great too that they have a part in this product.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see how excited they get when I go to pick up peppers and they're like, "Oh, it's the pepper guy." And it's really funny how excited they get, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'll bring you to the office. I'll call Miss Fuentes over to help you out with your peppers and stuff. And I was like, and also just seeing them, also a few of them have followed me on Instagram and Facebook and stuff. So it's like, oh, cool. Like now I could see what they do in their programs while, during the school year. So it's pretty cool to see that and just the relationship that we've built with them. And I have been telling them like, hey, I'm more than willing to like get more involved with some of the programs that you guys have. And, I'll come and speak and talk about my company and how I do business. And they've also talked about like possibly doing like if I present some sort of like job opportunity for like summer interns for my business to say, help me sell hot sauce at markets around the city. That's something I have the opportunity to capitalize on as well.
Nice.
So I haven't really dug deep into it, but next year is something that I'm planning to do is try to partner with them more with their program, get more involved with their education and their programs, and possibly getting some kids to help me out over the summer as well.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. That is just fantastic what you're doing. So cool. Because you know
Thanks.
how that will touch some kids later on in life, That's really neat.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what my business is all about, trying to make a beneficial impact on the community and the environment around the business. So
Nice.
like whenever I can find opportunities like that, I try to pursue them.
Beautiful. Are you in Whole Foods now?
Yeah, my products are found in Whole Foods in all of the Long Island locations.
Nice. Nice. That's fantastic because that's Whole Foods is held at pretty high regards. That's a nice place. It's
Yeah,
pretty.
thanks. Yeah. It was a lot of work to get into.
How many flavors do you have now?
I currently have 8 flavors. And there's a variation of 3 of the flavors, which is a small gift box that I make, which has my 3 original flavors. So technically I have 9 products in total.
Where would you like to see Pepplish go from this point?
So right now, I would like to see Pepplish grow more as a national brand. I'm currently trying to work on getting with a national distributor. That's something that it's really difficult to work with and try to get into, but I'm looking to grow more as a national brand, get it in the hands of more people. And eventually, I mean, hopefully, I would like to own and operate my own facility.
Oh,
But the next step right now is going to be moving on to a co-packer, having them produce it for me and shipping it out to distribution warehouses and stuff like that. But ultimately, yeah, I'd like to see Pepplish grow to a national brand, perhaps an international brand, and also start like very similar to what I was talking about with the high school,
mhm.
and trying to make a beneficial impact in the community environment around the business. Like, so for instance, I have a friend whose family owns a farm in Haiti, and I would like to have a lot of my peppers grown there in Haiti and invest more in that community because it's one of the poorest, if not the poorest, uh, culture, not culture, region in the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah.
And I think that when after the hurricanes and the earthquakes hit them a few years ago, a lot of people rushed to their aid, but I think a lot of them have been like a lot that region has been forgotten. So it's something that's on my heart, on my mind that I'm looking forward to and possibly making a beneficial impact there with investing in the community as well.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Where do you come up with your ideas of the flavors of your sauces? Because you have some really unique blends of different flavors that you come together that you put together to make these sauces, and they're just brilliant. Some of the stuff that you do, and I always like to tend to wonder what makes the maker come up with these different flavors.
Huh. So it's actually like a multifaceted answer, and sometimes the recipes are already established ones that I find, and I'll look at it and be like, well, I think this needs more garlic, and I'm going to take away this ingredient, I'm going to add that ingredient, and like I tweak it to how I like it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I develop a recipe out of that. So that's actually how the peach agave garlic started. Originally, it had molasses and brown sugar. then it moved on to honey and brown sugar, and then it moved on to honey and cane sugar, then it moved on to agave and cane sugar. So it was so like that's one recipe, especially, and also the blueberry sauce, similar. I found a recipe that I wanted to try out. That was a blueberry salsa recipe, and then I tweaked it to how I liked it. Removed some ingredients, added some, but there are some sauces, like especially like the apple cilantro lime sauce. It was weird. It was more like what I call a shower thought, and it just hit me. I was like, I think these ingredients would go really well together, and I just made a sauce like and right away, and it was like a hit. Like everyone loved it, and truthfully, like a lot of people started having the green sauce, and I was like, and they were like, "Oh, this is so much better than your other sauces." And I'm like, "No, don't forget them." And so a lot of people, so in the beginning, a lot of people did jump on the apple cilantro lime right away, and I was getting a little concerned because I was like, "Oh, but the other two sauces are also really good, so why? Please try them, please buy them." And so it was a little hard and unnerving and hurt my heart a bit in the beginning because I was like, oh, the peach is kind of like my firstborn kid, and this is where my heart is, and why aren't people buying this? But now it's actually one of my best sellers
Good.
nationwide and internationally. So it definitely has come a long way. And like some of the other recipes, there was so the mango I would say has the most interesting um, background because originally it started as a recipe that I would make for the church that I attend for their homeless ministry. Because a lot of the homeless men and women that would go to that ministry to receive a hot meal and stuff, they are Latin American and they love their hot sauce. And the guy who runs it was like, like, hey, I know you have your own hot sauce company, and we would love to have one of our own make hot sauce for them. Would you be willing to do that? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, definitely do that. And I actually made a special recipe just for them, which was just a basic, um, sort of like more like a Louisiana style, more vinegar forward and made from peaches, very loosely based on the peach recipe. And then I decided to bring it and like actually make it into um, one of my own recipes that I would bottle and sell, and eventually just use that recipe to give to them. And that's how the mango garlic hickory came about. Um, and I didn't want to repeat some of the ingredients. So like I originally used peach. So I was like, oh, what other fruit that do I like eating that I would add to this sauce? So I decided to go with mango. And that's how I got started with that one. And that one actually, if you take a look at all of my bottles, they're numbered.
Yeah.
Peach is number one, apple's number two, blue's number three, and so on. And the mango is number seven, but it's actually like five or six. And that's like a little secret that I keep because I wanted it to be number seven because of the association with Christian church and stuff like that.
Hey,
And I wanted it like that. So I actually had to come up with two recipes or one recipe, which is the blackberry rhubarb thyme, which I actually got inspiration from a blueberry thyme pie my wife made, and the cranberry orange clove, which that one was almost sort of like a shower thought thing too. So that's how I got started making all those flavors.
well, I got to tell you, Tim, I've been sitting here with the biggest smile on my face because your passion for what you're doing inspires me, and you can see it in you that you really love what you're doing, and that's awesome. It's not,
It's a lot of fun. I got to admit, it's a lot of fun making hot sauce.
yeah.
Sometimes I just want to do that. I don't want to run a business. I just want to make the sauce. So I mean, I think a lot of sauce owners are like that out there too,
Sure.
because it is really fun.
Yeah, you go to the events, and I've said this before. I think people have just as much fun sharing their sauces with people as they do when they buy them. I mean, you'll come see what I can make,
Absolutely.
and I
Yeah,
see that
absolutely.
in all of them, and it's such a neat thing to see that if people have never been to a show, they need to get out there and meet vendors like you and producers and see the passion that they're giving forward to all of them. And there's a lot of big stories behind them. And that's exactly why I like having people on the show and be able to share that. And hopefully more and more people will see that and understand the passion and the love and the respect that you guys need for what you do, because it's beautiful. What's next for your company?
What's next? So next year, what I'm working on, like I mentioned before, is trying to build it more into a national brand. I'm working with some sales brokers to see what kind of strategies we can come up with to go down that route. Looking at some stores that are positioned all around the country, and also just looking to build my brand more organically, locally. So I'm looking to expand a lot of my markets that I go to in the tri-state area. So trying to, because right now I only go to 2 markets. One is on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. The other one's on the Lower East Side. Trying to pick up more regular days in the other boroughs, possibly northern New Jersey. Looking at the Bronx Night Market, which was a really fun event to do. I did it once this year, and I'm looking forward to doing it again next year. So that's what I'm looking at right now, is just trying to build it into more of a national brand while still having some love for my company locally.
Nice. Tim, I want to thank you very much for taking time out to talk with me. This is the kind of stuff I want to do for Chili Magazine, because like I said before, the passion and the love and the respect that you have for the company and everything. This is fantastic. I am so thrilled that I got to talk to you. Thank you again for stopping by and sharing your story with me. This is a beautiful thing, and I love it. Hold on just a minute.
Yeah, no, I love coming here.
And I'm going to sign off. So I'll be right back. Hey, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. I can't thank Tim enough for coming on here. I love the story. I love how he's interacted with the schools and everything that he's doing for his community. Fantastic job. Fantastic people. Check out his website at pepplish.com. Fantastic sauces, fantastic people, and help support them for everything they do. So until next week, thank you very much, everybody, for watching. And please subscribe and hit that notification bell. And we will see you again soon. Good night, everybody.